Hello, welcome to another video. Today, we're looking at some Core Life updates in this like system download developer panel that just happened. I missed it originally at the time, but I saw this come up on YouTube. As I'm watching it, he starts talking about UI, and I'm like, hold on, let me let me start recording because this might be good. So I'm just gonna go watch this, and then we'll just talk about anything that pops up. So here we go.
All right, I want to talk about some UI and general quality of life improvements. So over the last few months, we've been doing a lot of work in War Within to improve the baseline UI experience with things like the cooldown manager, combat assistant, and more. That's going to continue in Midnight and beyond. One area that we want to focus on is our nameplates. We understand that when you're in the heat of combat, this is the best win.
This is so good. Like, we all use Player pretty much. If you're doing any kind of like competitive content, Mythic, whatever, we're all using Player because you need to know who the priorities are, who to kick, who has aggro, what spells are going on, where's if you're a dot class, where's your dots. Like, it's so funny that like Plater is almost like a default add-on that you need these days. And I love seeing some of the stuff here. So they have mob buffs on the left. So I guess this would be like if the mob has some kind of invulnerability or some kind of buff that increases their damage for a time. Player debuff. So this is if you're a dot class, this is like critical, right? Like, you need to know which units have your dots, and then shared CC, which is what we have now, I guess, which is if a stun goes out, which stun it is. And then down here, I hope they do this, but actually like highlighting, they don't have it shown here, but right now I think what 90% of players are using Plater for is showing the priority target, the casters, like the targets that need to be kicked, the targets that maybe have a frontal to like sort of watch out for, and then like when the cast bar comes out, if it's interruptible or like CCable, right? Maybe that's what the yellow thing here means. Maybe that means, I mean, they're showing they're showing this one on the left as being interrupted. Necrotic Bolt is a cast bar, but it's not. It's kind of small. I wonder what the yellow means. I wonder if the yellow means it can be interrupted. I hope they do. I hope they're smart with this and they do something. I just hope they make it useful, right?
Window into what's going on, the status of your enemies, and what you need to respond to. And our default nameplates currently.
Yeah, like what you need to respond to. So he's saying, yeah, okay, this has to be a thing. Like, if a mob's going to do a big frontal or a big thing that like potentially will wipe the party if it doesn't get interrupted, it has to be visible, which is what we all use Plater for. So this is great. And actually, their first initial mock-up here looks good, looks clean, which I like.
Don't give you all the information you might want. We really want to improve your.
Oh, I like that they have this. So they have this simplified nameplate thing here. So like, okay, that's good. So you can have a really small nameplate if it's just like a minion or like a pet or something. You don't want it filling up the whole thing. That's cool. I wonder if they'll have more than this. Mob buffs, personal debuffs, shared CC.
Your ability to see and
like diminishing returns. I wonder if they're going to add diminishing returns to their nameplates.
Customize buff and debuff display on nameplates. We also want to be able to call out important lethal casts. That's something that we're going to build in on the encounter design side. If there's a cast that probably is going to wipe you if it gets off, that should be a larger highlighted cast bar so you know it's a high priority interrupt.
Oh, I wonder if it looks like I was thinking this was selected. That's why the cast bar is big. But I wonder if that's just if it's a high priority thing that needs to be interrupted, it just makes it bigger. That, I mean, that would work. That would actually work quite well. Okay, that's cool.
You shouldn't need an add-on or an external guide to tell you that. The game should be doing it itself, and we're really excited to add this functionality to our nameplates.
Sweet, I like it.
Next up, damage meters. We are adding damage meters to the base UI experience. Again, this is probably the single most popular add-on used by players across all of World of Warcraft. And you shouldn't need to feel like if you want to understand whether your talent build that you just tried out is more effective than the one you were using yesterday, you shouldn't need an external tool for that. The game should give you that information. And so we have fully featured damage meters. These are also going to be sort of server-side authoritative. So compared to probably the...
Okay, so have a look. So this is sick. Actually, you know as well, they have the drop downs for damage. You see there's like a drop down here for damage done and like healing done. So I assume that means there's going to be a bunch of options, which Details has right now, right? Yeah, lots of customization. This is great. This looks great. Honestly, like, the damage meter doesn't even have to be better than like details. It just has to be easier to use, and like people will just use it.
Single most popular add-on used by
This looks good though. This just looks clean and simple. I like this. This is good.
players across all of World of Warcraft. And you shouldn't need to feel like if you want to understand whether your talent build that you just tried out is more effective than the one you were using yesterday, you shouldn't need an external tool for that. The game should give you that information. And so we have fully featured damage meters. These are also going to be sort of server-side authoritative. So compared to add-ons where maybe someone is out of range or in a different phase and you lose track of the information about what they're doing, here we're going to keep track of it on our end, and so they should always be perfectly accurate.
Okay, that's actually huge because currently, like, I think details just relies fully on the combat log, and there is a range to that. So this one will be way more accurate, and I assume more performant because it's not like reading from a combat log. So this damage meter will actually probably be a lot better than details in terms of its like efficiency and just the data it has. It'll be way more accurate. That's actually huge. That's great. That's really good.
Next up, this is a fun one. How many of you use DBM or bigwigs?
Yeah, who doesn't? Like, okay, so they're showing 3 types of warning here. There's like a big raid warning, savage charge, dodge. They're telling you what to do as well. That's interesting. They're showing the icon and what to do about it. They're showing, yeah, Bladestorm, move away, marked for butchery. So then it shows you who the player that's being marked as well. So this is just like, I mean, that's pretty sick. That's exactly what you need, right? Big raid warnings. I hope they have sound effects as well. Even though the sounds in big wigs, little wigs, big wigs, DBM are like, they're kind of, a bit like cheesy, but like, you need them. I love that they have this. This is so good. This is like so like this outlet because this is kind of based off a WeCore that everyone uses now with like the vertical timeline of like abilities that are going to hit. It's really popular. It's been really popular in the last few years. Most people are using this, and it's like it gets asked like, "What's that add-on in your UI?" It's like the vertical timeline thing. I'm so glad they copied this because as a healer, it's like it's so helpful to know like a big ability is going to come out in like 5 seconds, and I can just sort of like I can ramp up. I can start ramping, right? I can start applying some hots. I can do stuff and really like make sure I stay on top of like what's going on. So that is so good. I'm so glad to see this. This is sick. But this looks like it'll have everything. Different types of callouts and the timeline with possibilities. Super cool. I love that. That's great.
Basically, since the beginning of raiding, 20 years ago plus, people have relied on add-ons to let them know when a major boss ability is coming up.
It's kind of crazy that even with the changes they're making to the game, and they're making like a lot of encounters simpler, right? Because they're banning a lot of add-ons or a lot of like weaker that tie into certain events in the combat log, right, that tell you what to do, which we'll talk about after this. But it's still funny that they're adding something like a timeline rather than make it visually apparent on the. There's just I think they kind of accept that they can't make the game look clear when there's like 20 people fucking throwing the rainbow at the floor and the mob. Like it's not really possible. So yeah, it's kind of funny.
That's just how WoW raiding has been for nearly everyone who raids. And yet, again, you've had to turn to external tools to do that, and we feel that's not the experience that our players deserve. So we are building in a lot of that functionality into our encounters in Midnight. So you can see a timeline of major critical abilities that are coming up, and alerts if you're targeted by something, things along those lines, to give you the information you need to overcome the challenges that are facing you. Those are just a few of the user interface improvements that are coming in Midnight. There are going to be many more at launch and to follow. This is a project that has a long future ahead of it. We really want to make sure that our base user experience is the very best that it can be.
I'm super excited for this. I'm actually really excited for like the add-on changes coming in Midnight. I mean, I'm like you know me, like you've seen my UI video maybe, but like I love making WeCores and like making a sick looking clean minimal UI. So as long as I can like tweak visual stuff, like I'm happy. But I'm actually really excited for like what this means for like new players or like players who are like want to get into new content and push into mythics, whatever, right? Like just make it more accessible and more easier just to understand and play the damn game. It's a game.
Transmog. Really, Transmog.
Oh, I heard in another video girl talking about this.
Everyone, as true WoW aficionados know, is the real endgame of World of Warcraft. We want to make sure we are supporting it as best we can. So nearly 15 years after the
Person's only got 800 gold. That's like, if you have a bad mythic run, that'd be your entire repair bill. In fact, you couldn't even like get the pots and the hearty food needed with that with that gold. Actually, that's one thing. Running mythics is bloody expensive. If you buy in like the tempered potions and the food you need to eat for every mythic, because it doesn't last for 2 mythics. At least the pot stacks in time, but the food doesn't.
introduction of Transmog, we have come
This is looking a lot nicer though. A lot like using my screen, which is cool. I mean, we're not on 4x3 anymore.
coming up an overhaul to how the system works. No longer will you have to go reapply the
Oh, wait a minute. All of these on the left are outfits.
appearance of your choice every time you get a new upgrade, every time you get a quest reward or a raid drop or whatever else. Instead of transmogging items, you will now transmog the slot. And so if you have something set as your helm appearance and you get a new helm, it's just going to inherit the look that you want it to have.
I heard about this. Yeah, so you'll just transmog the slot. This is pretty cool actually, because when you're leveling, or like you always just look like shit. And like you never really want to transmog until you're like max level and you've got some gear, because it's just so expensive. This is great. You just transmog the slot and then that's it. I mean, it might be hard. The only downside to this is you might get a really cool shoulder drop or something, and you might not even actually see it. So I hope they do something to make it easier to see new pieces of cool like looking gear that you got maybe. Actually, I'm surprised they're doing this, because the transmog must be quite a big money sink for players right now. And you think that WoW would want to get the money out of the game, so new money comes in with like WoW tokens or whatever, right? So, or like grinding. So I'm surprised they're doing this, but I'm sure they'll have other plans, I guess.
You'll still
I mean, actually down there, down at the bottom there, it does say purchase outfit slot. So I wonder if that'll be, I wonder if you'll get a bunch. Is that real money? Is that like the tenders? Is that in-game gold?
set as your helm appearance and you get a new helm, it's just going to inherit the look that you want it to have. You'll still pay a gold cost to set that like head slot or back slot appearance, but as you just get new items, you can just put those on, there's no additional cost, and that'll just be the appearance that you have. But this also gives us the opportunity to add more opportunities for customization and self-expression in the Transmog system. Because not only can you save one outfit, you'll be able to unlock and save many, many outfits. And then, if you want, you can tie those outfits to specific situations.
Oh, cool.
So if you want one outfit that enables when you go into town, or when you go into your home, or when you go into a dungeon, or when you
I think I heard the girl in the video talk about this, how you can like set like pajamas for when you're in your house or something.
change your specialization, you can map those things to each other, and it'll just automatically happen. So we're very excited for kind of the depth of customization this is going to bring. And as with many of our systems, this is just kind of the beginning. This is Transmog 2.0, but we're going to continue to build on this foundation in the months and years ahead. So thank you for coming out.
Like Eon. Yeah, no, like that's pretty sick. I really like the updates. Nameplates, details, damage meter, and the boss announcement stuff is super cool actually. I'm excited for that. I love add-ons. I think they're really cool, and it's like one of the things that makes WoW unique, you know, that we can like really customize our experience and like make it how we want it. And like if there's something we're not quite happy with, we can like tweak it, which I think is really cool in WoW. But I am excited because I think that I know there's a lot of things going on with the combat log where you won't be able to see certain abilities via the combat log. You know, they're removing like heal prediction, I think, is one thing that's going, which I again don't care. And they're removing the ability to track friendly buffs and friendly cooldowns. So right now we have like Omni CD, Omni Bar that tracks all of my party cooldowns, so I can see if a player uses a defensive or if they have pot available. That's all going, which I actually don't really care about because we're all in the same boat, right? We'll all just, as much as like we like being able to see did that DPS use a defensive, I think for a lot of players it can be quite toxic. Whatever, if it's going, it's going. We'll always be in the same boat. But also not being able to track other parties, enemy party, like in Arena, you won't be able to track DRs or what buffs they have up when their trinket's coming off cooldown, which would be pretty huge. as well as like target buffs. So if you're PvPing in open world, you can't see, oh, this guy has it. So a lot of implication for PvP, I think, with the add-on stuff, because yeah, the add-on stuff in PvP is kind of crazy with like tracking DRs. There's so many things you track in PvP. In PvE, not seeing friendly player cooldowns is quite big. No hero prediction, which I don't really care about. I think I saw another thing about tank swaps. So you won't be able to, like, you know, if you have like 8 stacks of a thing, and that's when the tanks need to swap, they're going to have to implement some kind of really visual way of showing that, which I think is going to be very hard for them, because they can't rely on, like, you know, let's say the tank starts to glow red when he's at like 5 stacks of this thing. I don't think that'll work, because there's so much bollocks going on the screen. You won't be able to see it. So they're going to have to add that to like the nameplate or something on your unit frame. That's actually going to be quite hard for them to solve. I think there's actually a lot of challenges for them to solve, but what I do think is, I don't know if any of you guys have watched the Race to Watch First. In fact, I have it up on my top monitor right now. Is the you know, Echo right now are trying to beat Dementius. This is like day 11, but they have so many like things on their screen. I mean, I can just pull it up right here. There's so many things going on the screen, right? Where they have all these things where it says like, this is going to spawn, tank soak, move here, do this, eat a cookie. Like, oh my god, I literally got an ad. Anyway, you get the point, right? The big mythic guilds, or big guilds who push up like high end, push into mythics, or like even high, like, you know, early heroics, right? They build these huge weaker packs to really like help them get through the encounter and like play the game, and all that I think is going to kind of be gone. So that means that because Blizzard's got into this arms race with like making encounters so complex, because they knew that the teams and the guilds would have add-ons to like make it easier. So then they had a real like battle to make them hard enough to make them compelling. So I think we'll get to a point where they can build much more interesting mechanics into their raid boss encounters that don't rely on us to have add-ons and all this kind of bollocks. So I actually think that the end result will be a much more interesting experience, and it'll be a much more fun experience fighting bosses. I mean, in the last year we've had a lot of boss fights that have been quite interesting actually. A lot of cool mechanics have come through. So I think this is all just good. I think this is going to be great. I think it actually simplifies the game, and it's going to make it so much easier for people getting into Mythic or getting into the game in general to actually start enjoying it and just be able to play and not have to worry about, oh, you want to come do Mythics? Well, you need these 10 add-ons to really be anywhere remotely competitive, or like not just suck. I'm excited for the changes. Hopefully we can customize the layout and the look quite a lot. It's going to be hard to get me off of the weak auras onto using the cooldown manager, but it depends on how much you can customize it, because like I said before, the thing that they build doesn't have to be better than what we currently has. It can be as good as what we currently have, but just easier to use, easier to get into, and less work to set up. So and it'll win. Everyone will just use it. You know, if they make their own version of details that's better or as good, easy to set up, people will just use it. I'm excited for the future, and I'm really excited for Midnight and see what comes with this. You know me, I'm an add-on WoW UI tweaking guy, and I'm really excited to see what comes of this. So yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts. If you have any thoughts about any of this add-on Midnight changes, what's going to happen, again, we're all in the same boat, so it's not like, oh no, they're removing my like bar. It doesn't matter. Like, everyone's gonna have the same problems, same issues. We're all gonna learn, and I think actually it'd be better for the game. But tell me what you think and what you are looking forward to in Midnight. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.